Referee Dan Pert signals for the bell, and we are underway. Prazak, this one not for the faint of heart.
Gets out of harm's way. Does Holliday trying to climb the cage to escape, but pulled off the top rope, and flurry of punches now from Charles Mason all over Holliday in the corner, kicking away the midsection as well.
Richard Holliday does not get paid by the hour. He wants to escape as quickly and as swiftly as possible. Doesn't want to give Charles Mason any sort of opportunity to keep his hands on him.
Flurry of punches here from Richard Holliday.
Richard Holliday in excellent physical conditioning, but Charles Mason, you can see, doing some training in the prison yard with a little Lou Thez press.
Doing lots of Thez presses in the prison yard,
It's a signature, I don't know if you know. In the clink.
Running clothesline in the corner from Mason.
We've seen the mind games from Charles Mason, switching out himself for one of his goons, for Perro's husband on New Year's Eve, forcing Perro to driver his own husband. Just last weekend in Rochester, a measure of revenge against his former stooge.
Whereas Perro has been at the side of Richard Holliday since all of this took place, sending Charles Mason to jail.
Perro perhaps feeling like Charles Mason didn't respect him, saw him as a brute or a heavy or an animal more than a true equal, a true partner. But it's Richard Holliday who has thrown Perro to the wolves, more specifically Charles Mason, who, as I speak, is indeed using that steel cage as a weapon, raking Richard Holliday's face from side to side.
He's repeatedly driven into the chain link steel cage. Holliday flat on his back and removing the belt now.
Looking to make Richard Holliday pay, Dave Prazak. This is just as much, dare I say, this is more about exacting revenge and sending a message than it is earning victory in a game-changer wrestling ring.
Holding Richard Holliday in position, trying to utilize that belt as a weapon.
Holliday perhaps with a slight size advantage here, putting it to good use and evading the clutches of Mason for the moment. Big cutter there. Again, sending Mason into the steel. So dangerous, but Mason just absorbs every bit of it.
And give it another shot. Again, driven into the steel, but not having much of an effect on Mason. It's like it's firing him up, making him more determined.
Goozle!
Breaks free.
Think about how many months Mason spent in prison. Hoping, dreaming, wishing for this moment, all leading to this.
And Holliday thought that was going to be it, that once he got sent away, that he would be gone for years. But no, he was back out on the street, and he was looking for both Perro and Richard Holliday.
Charles Mason always finds a way, whether it's his deep pockets or his tenacity or some combination of the two. He is here, he is in the Hammerstein, but he might not be for long as Holliday looks to escape.
Trying to climb over this cage. Standing on the top rope, but back on his feet is Mason.
Pride comes before the fall, and that may be the case literally here. A rake of the back from Mason, taking advantage of Holliday's own hubris.
Having hold of the ankle. Holliday trying to kick him down to the canvas, able to do so. And now Holliday trying to get over the top of this cage.
Mason there to meet him. You heard Mason saying where you're going, a sick smile on his face, still Prazak. The entrance is one thing, but during this war, Mason's still smiling.
Exchanging punches now, standing on the top rope, back and forth. And now biting Richard Holliday.
Make no mistake, he may be a proverbial fan favorite circumstantially here tonight, but he's still the same sick, twisted, demented animal that has terrorized Game Changer Wrestling for the last several years.
And now it's Holliday on his back.
Mason could escape here. This might be all she wrote.
Sitting on the top of the cage.
He's got it. This is over.
He's deciding not to. He's going to go to the top of the cage rather than jump to the floor. Standing on the top of the cage, Charles Mason. Drops the elbow.
Bit of a froggy bow there from Charles Mason. Of course, former Game Changer. Whoa, that is Perro. That is the man who Mason first recruited. Cover. And a kick out. first recruited back at the tail end of 2022, his running mate in the Rich and Powerful, only for him to turn his back and side with Richard Holliday, the snitch.
Now what is Perro doing? Entering the cage.
And this is much more than financial allegiance.
Oh, no. Referee Dan Perch sent into the steel by Perro.
Perro's own husband brought into this. He's made it personal.
Choke slam.
You don't stalk a man at his own house and expect not to pay a price for it. Come on.
Perro lending the helping hand, but you just took out the referee.
Reaping what he sows here is Perro. And you can see Perro strategizing.
Grabbing hold of the referee and sending him back inside the cage to make the count.
No!
Shoulder up at 2 3/4.
Now, Dave, you have to think, if Dan Perch was in the ring at the moment of the initial cover, even that weak, lackadaisical cover from Holliday, he would have won the matchup, but as it stands, the delay enough for Mason to get that shoulder up.
Perro still at ringside, sending some weapons inside the cage. I saw a door slid through the cage door to be brought inside that cage and utilized. Chair now as well, a couple of them.
No respect for law and order from Perro. Already a dangerous, twisted individual, but after bringing his husband into this, stalking his husband, tricking Perro into hitting that driver on his husband, what we saw last weekend in Rochester, he's unhinged here.
Well, it's basically a 2-on-1 situation with Perro lending a helping hand to Richard Holliday with all these weapons, and now both of them are inside the steel cage with Charles Mason, and Perro's got him with that door propped up in the corner.
Hold on, what the? Who is this?
Before he can do any damage, up on the stage, it's Slade!
Long before Richard Holliday, hell, long before Perro, in the Jersey Championship Wrestling career of Charles Mason, it was Slade who stood by his side, his most loyal ally, and now Slade is back in a GCW ring.
Here to even the odds, staring down Perro inside the cage and spears him through the door in the corner.
You see Slade with that orange jumpsuit, you think him and Mason reconnected in prison?
That could have been the case.
Mason maybe pulling some strings to get him out, even the odds here. Whatever it may be, even the odds he has, Slade grabbing Perro by the hair, tugging him out of the ring.
Keeping this a one-on-one situation between Mason and Holliday inside the cage, as Slade continuing to fight out on the floor with Perro.
Perro sending Slade into the waiting arms of fans at ringside. No one is safe. They're losing control here.
Continuing to battle, but it's keeping it one-on-one inside the cage.
You can see Mason with a steel chair in hand. Richard Holliday doesn't even realize what happened here.
Trying to pull himself up in the corner. Back on his feet is Holliday. He's got the chain in his hand.
Introduced by Perro. And what kind of sickness does Richard Holliday have in mind with that?
Wrapping the chain around his fist. The chain and the chair being used as weapons across the back with the chair repeatedly now.
Look at the red marks on the back of Richard Holliday, and now Mason just digging that chair into the throat, into the chest, any part of Richard Holliday's body he can get that steel lodged into. Mason is doing just that.
In full command of the matchup for the moment, Charles Mason waiting for Holliday to get back to his feet, still holding onto that steel chair.
You know what they say, Dave Prazak, snitches get stitches.
I never thought I would hear a Charles Mason chant from the GCW fans.
Mighty cold day in hell, eh? Come on! Low blow from Richard Holliday.
And now Holliday stepping through the ropes, trying to open the door here.
Hold on. It's not done.
No, he's not leaving the cage.
Charles, you're damn right I snitched. I am not sorry. I fucking hate you.
Confident in his snitching, nails the super kick on Mason.
He's denied it for months, and finally, Holliday owns exactly what he is. And why shouldn't he? He's got Mason dead to rights.
Pulling him back up now. Richard Holliday. Just spitting right in his face.
Sheer and utter disrespect.
2008 from Holliday.
Kick out at one!
Charles Mason is still in this.
Where the hell is Charles Mason getting this from, Prazak?
Turns him inside out with the clothesline.
New life breathed into the root of all evil.
Double knees in the corner. Mason with Holliday, Death Valley driver. Into the cover. Oh, but Holliday gets the shoulder up, looking to choke him out here. Sleeper applied.
Immediately back onto that sleeper hold. No wasted motion. Like a rabid animal, Mason staying on top of him here.
Holliday trying to fight out of it. Trying to kick his way free. He's on top. Near fall for Holliday right there.
Nearly stole the victory, and now Holliday again. No butterflies the arms this time.
Backbreaker. Right across the knee. Boot to the face as well.
Thought 2008 again, but again Mason had it scouted. Back to the choke.
Will this be it? Referee checking on the condition of Holliday. Can he hang in there? Mason cutting off the circulation. He has that chain in his hand.
And Mason doesn't realize it. Mason doesn't realize it.
Sure he does right now, trying to get hold of that chain. And he has the chain wrapped around the throat of Holliday.
Richard Holliday snitched on Charles Mason for being a murderer. Well, he's going to commit another here tonight in the Hammerstein Ballroom.
And the referee calling for the bell. Charles Mason, your winner.
The winner of the match, Charles Mason.
Charles Mason spent countless sleepless nights in prison manifesting this moment. And tonight, it came to fruition. In his native New York, Charles Mason stands tall.